It's a cold February evening, a weeknight, and my grandfather has just called to tell that he's going to stop by, a surprise stop by. And this is unusual because it's my grandfather works in Manhattan and he lives on Long Island. And although my house in Queens is kind of on the way, nobody wants anything that makes their commute from Manhattan to Long Island longer. And also because this is my father's father, and my mother hasn't been married to my father in a while. And in fact, she's married to somebody else now, and so my father's parents don't make a habit of stopping by our house. But here's my grandfather standing in our vestibule, and he's got a huge smile on his face and big wide eyes. He's obviously very excited about something, and he hands me a bag and he says, "Kitten, this is for you." And it's not even a gift bag, it's just a shopping bag. And I open it up and I see the ubiquitous yellow box, and it's a Cabbage Patch Kid. And so I take it out of the box and I say, "Oh, wow, Grandpa, thank you." And he says, "Well, I'm so happy. Your grandmother and I are so happy to give this to you. We wanted to get you one for Christmas, but I couldn't get my hands on one." And he said, "And I tried everything." My grandfather is very successful, was very successful. He had plenty of money and a lot of contacts. And so when he says, "I tried everything," I take him at his word, including to trying to buy some other kid's Cabbage Patch Kid right out from under their Christmas tree. So this is February of 1984. And the holiday season of 1983, Cabbage Patch Kids were the hottest, the biggest toy ever. Parents were reduced to fist fighting in store aisles to get the last one. And so here I am in February with my very own Cabbage Patch Kid, and my mom is standing next to me, looking at me, also with wide eyes and a big smile, because she did not get me a Cabbage Patch Kid for Christmas either. Mostly because I didn't want one. The whole trend kind of passed me by. I wasn't a doll kid. I liked stuffed animals. I gave them names and personalities and talked to them. I also liked anything with glitter and glue and felt and pipe cleaners. I loved my Easy Bake Oven, anything where I could make things, but dolls were not my thing, and particularly Cabbage Patch Kids weren't my thing. So my grandfather leaves to continue on his long journey home to Long Island. We put the Cabbage Patch Kid box on the table, and we start the long process of freeing it from its packaging. And also filling out all the paperwork, because Cabbage Patch Kids come with, you have to adopt them, like legally. And we fill out all the paperwork and send it back in, and a gift certificate comes, and now I am officially in charge of all its care and feeding. So I put the Cabbage Patch Kid on a shelf in my room, and my mom says, "Next time you go to your grandparents, you better bring it." And I said, "Why?" And she said, "So that they know how much you love it." And that was a thing back then. Kids who had Cabbage Patch Kids carried them around like they were real kids. So when I went to my grandparents, I did actually bring the Cabbage Patch Kid, and it's a good thing because my whole family was there. It was a family dinner. My whole family was there, and they couldn't wait to meet her, as if she were my actual newborn child. Now, if you've never had a Cabbage Patch Kid, I don't know how many Gen Xers are in the room, but if you've never had a Cabbage Patch Kid, they were partially anatomically correct. They had little belly buttons, and they had asses. And the creator's name was, the creator's signature, Xavier Roberts, was on all of their behinds, which at the time was, y'all thought was cute, but I don't think I'm like that now. And so what people would do when they got a Cabbage Patch Kid, the first thing they would do was pull down its little pants and look at its behind and look at the signature, which again at the time was cute and now is pretty sick. Right? So my whole family, they took pictures of me with Cabbage Patch Kid. They took pictures of them. They got pictures of themselves holding the Cabbage Patch Kid. They all pulled down her little pants and looked at her behind. They have pictures of my family molesting my child. And not only that, but they gave me gifts for my kid. Again, they threw me like a little baby shower almost. There were outfits and blankets. I got a car seat so I could carry her around. And so anytime I saw that side of my family, I I put a new outfit on her. I carried her around in the car seat. I did the whole thing. I wrapped her in a blanket and I held her. Well, I did it too well because for my birthday, I got another Cabbage Patch. And I will cut to the end of this part. I wound up with 5. And that is too many Cabbage Patch Kids. And I knew it was too many Cabbage Patch Kids. I came from a very working class family, a very working class neighborhood, except my father's side of the family was not working class. The family that I grew up with was very working class. I came from a very working class family. I'm from Queens. And the Cabbage Patch Kids just sat on a shelf in my room, except I never displayed all 5 of them at a time. I only kept 3 out. I put 2 in a closet. I rotated them. So, but I did, you know what I did? I did ascribe to each of them like a personality. Like this was the tough pretender one, and this was the sarcastic one, and this was the artsy one. So, and when anybody asked me how many Cabbage Patch Kids I had, I only ever said 3. And as it was, 3 was too many. Anytime I never knew anyone who had more than 2. And when I said 3, people would already say, wow. Yeah. So by around the age of 10 or 11, all the toys and the stuffed animals mostly went in the closet, and the rock posters went on the wall, and I got a guitar. And the Cabbage Patch Kids got packed up in a box with all of their birth certificates, and they went on the top shelf in the closet. And I went through high school, I went off to college, Cabbage Patch Kids stayed on the top shelf. And eventually, when my parents sold our house and moved into a smaller house, they said to me, come go through all your stuff because we're not moving your old shit into our new house. So I had to go through all my childhood things and decide what had to go and what was going to come with me to my tiny apartment in Boston. And I just didn't feel right about getting rid of the Cabbage Patch Kids. I mean, they were my children. I had paperwork that said so. So the box came with me to Boston and went in the top of my closet like they had always been. And then I moved to another apartment and went to the top of the closet, and another, and another. And then we moved back to my husband and I moved back to New York. And they went in the top of the closet in our apartment in New York, and the next apartment, and the next apartment. And at this point, I am in my 40s. If they were real children, they'd have been going off to college. So we're moving to another apartment, and I have at this point acquired in my life a lot of things, housewares and linens and, boring grown-up things. And I can't spare a place in my closet, in the top of the closet, for this box full of children that I don't engage with. They should find new parents. They should really find parents that care about them. And so I thought, you really can't donate like stuffed animals and cloth dolls to places because they could have oogie boogies in them and stuff. But my best friend has 4 daughters, and at the time they were very young, and I was very, very close to them. They were like my nieces, and I thought, well, I'll take 4 of them over there, and I'll see if they're at all interested. And I took them, and they loved them, and each of them took one, and oddly enough, without me saying anything, each one of them kind of took the one that matched their personalities, whose imaginary personality that I gave them matched their actual personalities. And they were gaga over them. And I said to them, those are real Cabbage Patch Kids from when they first came out. And they all looked at me blankly. And they kind of said, like, what's a Cabbage Patch Kid? And I said, oh my God, you know what Cabbage Patch Kids are? You know what Cabbage Patch Kids are? And I stopped for a second. I thought about how fucking old I was and possibly irrelevant. And I looked at their mother, my friend, and I said, if they don't know what Cabbage Patch Kids are, why do they want them? And she said, because they're yours. And so I thought, at least now they'll have a home where somebody cares about them after so long of nobody caring about them.